At Norway's westernmost point, there is a landmark by the sea. The location is rarely visited, as reaching it requires hours of driving through winding valleys. However, those who make the journey will find a small metal plaque on the landmark, engraved with a few words. It is a poem dedicated to those who have lost their lives in the sea below the cliffs. This is a story about one of the deadliest coastlines in the world, and the bold ideas the Norwegians have to avoid it. This is a story about the Stad Ocean. This is Trym, a Norwegian Viking. He is part of a 7-man crew on a knarr, a typical Viking ship. They are fishers, on their way home from a 4-day-long fishing trip. They are wet and tired. The Norwegian fall weather is tearing on their morale, but Trym knows their hardest challenge is still ahead. The fishers live in a small coastal village further north. Fiskå. It is a small community where everyone knows each other and each person plays a role in contribution to the group. With winter fast approaching, it is crucial to stock up on food reserves before the season sets in. Trym's family waits for his return, knowing he still has to cross the Stad Ocean, a stretch of water known for its brutal conditions, especially at this time of year. The Norse goddess of the sea, Ran, waits by the cliffs, ready to claim the lives of those who don't make it. But what makes this point of the Norwegian coastline so dangerous? It is a combination of factors that literally creates the perfect storm. The currents from the north and south collide here, creating unpredictable waters. Dense fog cover the sharp reefs, making it even more dangerous for sailors. And there are no islands or landforms to block the huge waves that roll in from the open North Atlantic. The winds also tend to accelerate as they are forced through narrow channels or over high terrain, resulting in stronger and turbulent gusts, just like a door in your house all of a sudden closing due to a draft. Waves that appear small can suddenly grow massive and break due to the irregularities of the seabed. Waves also reflect off the cliffs, returning to collide with other waves, effectively doubling their size. In 1995, the tallest wave of modern time was registered. It was 33 meters tall. Because of the cold waters and lack of safe harbors, shipwrecks have been common for centuries. One of the worst disasters was in 1594, when 400 people lost their lives during a storm. Another one, from recent times, was the shipwreck of Brenning.
Været kunne skifte kraftig og plutselig, uten værvarsler dagen før, slik som nå. Båtene var små og åpne. Det var derfor ikke så rart at mange liv gikk tapt på sjøen gjennom tidene. De regnet virkelig fiske som et livsfarlig yrke, med kun et tynt bord mellom seg og døden.
The shipwreck of Brenning cost 19 people their lives. The fishers can't afford delays. The fish must be dried for winter before it spoils. To solve this problem, they take an alternative route. There is a mountain pass between the fjords with less vegetation. This is where the crew can decide to get out of the ship and pull it over the mountain. A staggering distance of 5 kilometers through the air, with a maximum elevation of 250 meters. Trym and the crew arrive at the mountain pass. There are timber logs laying by the coast, ready to be applied under the ship for rolling. These were normally made of pine or oak. Pine, which are light and smooth, or oak for durability. Sometimes they're greased with fat to reduce friction. Cuts are made in the logs to help keeping the ship steady. When porting the ship, the crew can choose to carry parts of the vessel, such as the sail and rudder, along with the cargo. This makes the process of porting the ship itself easier. The bow of the ship would also have holes for attaching pulling ropes. Norway's west coast is a maze of fjords, valleys and rivers. For the Vikings, pulling boats between the fjords was often a practical alternative to navigating longer or more dangerous detours. These areas are often recognizable today by place names that include the word drage, meaning to drag. This method was not only used along the Norwegian coast, but also when the Vikings traveled around the world. Portaging between rivers and lakes was sometimes necessary when continuous waterways were unavailable. It could also be done to avoid hazardous areas, or to gain an advantage when setting up for a raid. The crew begins pulling the ship. The mountainside is steep, scattered with boulders, and the grass is wet and slippery. Normally the crew handled the pulling themselves, but at times they had the luxury of using animals for extra help. In some instances, nearby peasants were paid to assist, while in other cases, they were forced to. Luckily, Viking ships were designed to be light. Compared to other vessels of the time, they used less metal, featured open decks, and had a particularly thin hull. But what about today? The climate change haven't exactly done Stad any favors. While modern ships are large, like cruise liners or cargo vessels, they still face the risk of dangerous delays, while waiting for the conditions at Stad to improve. While pulling cruise ships over the mountains might be amusing, the Norwegians are pursuing a different solution, by going under the mountain instead. The plan is to build the world's first ship tunnel, a 1.7 kilometer passage that will cut 25 kilometers off the sailing route. This tunnel will reduce carbon emission by about 60% and save about an hour of sailing time. It is a bold idea that has gained international attention, and it is expected to boost the tourism in the area once completed. The construction will be done by keeping a piece of the mountainside on each side of the tunnel. This part will work as a dam to ensure dry working conditions when drilling the tunnel. The drilling will take place from both sides simultaneously in a ladder-shaped pattern. Excess masses will be transported out of the openings away from the construction site. When finished, the tunnel will be 37 meters tall and 36 meters wide, large enough to accommodate 81% of the day's marine traffic, and the stone removed during the construction will be used for local infrastructure projects, such as roads and building foundations. In the end, this project is more than just an engineering feat. It's about providing safer passage through one of the world's most dangerous waters, ensuring that Norway's maritime traffic can continue without the constant threat of the Stad Ocean. If you ever plan on visiting Norway, Stad is one of the places I would recommend you to pay a visit. The valleys and fjords are truly mesmerizing, and you can see the places the Vikings ported their ship yourself. And if I didn't scare you enough, Stad is one of the better places in Norway to surf. I hope you enjoyed this video, and you should consider subscribing to my channel if you found the topic and the way I presented it interesting. Thank you for watching.